Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Helm to Tower podcast. That's right, we're back here to talk about some Destiny 2, the video game. It's another week in the world of Destiny, and we got some stuff to talk about. I am your host, Mike Burgess. I am here with my co-host, Alex O'Neill. Alex, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Doing
Ready
good. Excellent. Awesome. It's a good time. Destiny, I feel like we're in that it's been a lull, Destiny lull, mid-season lull as it were, in these parts, but now I think we're going to start seeing the build up, because now we are in the month of May when this episode will drop. I know, right? And then that is a lot of video game things are happening in the month of May. Video games releasing, and on top of all of those video game things, a new season of Destiny 2 will also start at the end of this month. So we'll basically be less than a month away. We pretty much are less than a month away already from Season of the Deep. So we'll probably start getting some information about all that stuff pretty soon here, which will be exciting.
Yeah.
Learn about. I know we've definitely got some details already, but I'm sure we'll get some more stuff to talk about.
It's unfortunate that we have to take a month off as of May 12th.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real bummer.
Yeah, May 12th. Yeah, May 12th is definitely close enough to that new season that this will be definitely one of those first times in a long time that I went man, I might not be there for day one of Destiny 2, depending on where I'm at in Tears of the Kingdom. But that's just how it is sometimes, the world of live service video games. But yeah, there's some Destiny news that happened over the last couple weeks here. We took off a week, and then we had some scheduling stuff, so we didn't get to record last week. So
it was my fault, Mike. You can tell them.
No, because it was all of our fault, because we're busy human adults. So it happens. But yeah, we're gonna catch up on some stuff, and the mid-season patch dropped a few weeks ago, and it was a weird drop overall, because it was a mixed bag, because there were a lot of good things in the mid-season patch, but also it felt like at the same time it broke as many things as it either fixed or updated. And it also, there was
just how it was handled was questionable as well.
Definitely very just you doing okay over there, Bungie? What's going on? There's definitely a lot of that vibe from that, because it's they missed when they released that patch, they put out notes, and it missed those notes missed almost as many notes as there weren't in that patch notes. It was a little rough, and some of that stuff also was not just bug fixes. There was straight up nerfs and changes to mods and other things that were not established before. I definitely was disappointed by some of those changes, but I will say in the TWAB from this past week, that maybe made a little bit more sense why maybe they're making some of those adjustments.
Yeah.
We'll get into all that. But the first thing to talk about, I think we can start off, is they released a blog this week talking about Guardian games, because this week that this podcast will drop by the day before, or maybe even the day of, Guardian games is going to start in Destiny 2. It is back. It has been, I think this will be year 3 or 4 of Guardian games. And largely in the article, they go deep into what's coming this time around, and what some of the changes are, but mostly overall, though, it sounds pretty much standard to what was Guardian games last year, where it'll be about getting medals as usual, take the medals and put them into the podium in the tower, and then it'll do it for your class of your choice. So it'll be for either hunters, warlocks, or titans. There's different tiers of medals, and you'll get those from doing all kinds of stuff and playing throughout the game, various activities. We'll have strike scoring. That's back from last year, which I really enjoyed. They'll have the special strike playlists that pop up where you're playing with your class, or you're doing the slightly harder version to get different stuff out of that. And you can turn all that stuff in, and that'll let you flight up those extra podiums that they added in from last year. But the big new thing that they highlighted was that Supremacy A PvP game mode is coming back this year during Guardian games, and it will also be like the Strike playlist where it'll be class versus class. So it'll be 3v3. And it'll be either like a team of warlocks versus a team of titans, or a team of hunters versus titans. Like it'll be set up like that.
Okay.
And doing those contributes to that. The thing the strikes also contribute to, where you like light the extra podiums for extra rewards that are like behind the Guardian games thing. So that'll like play into that as well. So that's pretty cool for PvP people. And if you don't remember, Supremacy was in Destiny 2. I don't know if it was in Destiny 1, but this was like an earlier game mode that was in Destiny 2. And it's basically like, if you're familiar with other FA games, it's kill confirm. So basically, you get a kill.
Oh,
you get a kill.
The engram drops.
The engram drops from them, and you got to pick it up to make sure they don't come back. So it is that game mode, basically, coming back.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally forgot it. It was definitely in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, I forgot about it too. And then I saw the name in this article, and then I had to like go ask one of my like raid buddies in Discord, like, what was this again? And they said like kill confirm. I was like, oh yeah, that thing. Get the engram, shoot the
I like
dudes.
that mode.
Yeah, it was fine, and it seems like from the wording in this, it sounds like it is just going to be during Guardian games. But I'll be curious if they maybe bring it back just as like a rotating mode at something after this later, depending on how it goes over. But yeah, also on top of that, they showed all the extra loot stuff you can get, little rewards and stuff. There's a new Strand scout rifle that you can get. Looks
first of its kind. Yeah.
First of its kind. It looks really cool. It's a lightweight, so it'll be kind of like a trusty or slash servant leader style kind of scout. So that sounds pretty cool.
It's Omelon.
It's Omelon. Yeah, it looks visually looks like hung jury, but it's like green, kind of strandified. The perks are already out there. I guess people were able. I guess when this mid-season patch happened, some of that stuff was already out there. So I mean, if you would like to go on Lake GG, you can go see the perk rolls they can get already. And it definitely seems like it'll be pretty good from some of the rolls. It can get.
I took a peek. I won't lie.
Yeah,
I mostly took a peek to see if the title would get destabilizing rounds. Spoilers, it does not.
Yeah, it looks like it's just getting repulsor brace from what they said in the article. Like, yeah, it's getting updated rolls.
It's getting some exciting roles for like PvPers, and
sure,
that's definitely what I use the title for the most. It's getting like rangefinder and stuff, but
yeah. We'll see. But yeah, that's back as well, so you'll be able to get those and all that stuff.
And Classy Contender, which is the origin trait on these Guardian Games weapons, I think is very good. Basically demolitionist or pugilist, but for your class ability, little less percentage, but it's still very good.
Yeah, it's still pretty good for sure. But yeah, Guardian Games will be fun. It's always the standard with like Destiny events. They're like generally pretty fun and just kind of a little extra thing to kind of do at the end of the season before you get into the new season. I like this time is I think they said the title for Guardian Games I think is just Champ. So just say Champ.
That's fun.
So that'll be the title you can earn for the season, or not for the season, but for the event. And of course, if you've been playing over the last year and doing all of the previous events, you'll also be able to get the new Reveler title from This Will Be the Time to Do It. And that's kind of the overall event title, so that you'll be able to get that this time, which will be cool. So I'll definitely be working towards that stuff this time.
And then this is the first time that Guardian Games is getting the event card treatment as well.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get some extra rewards from that. There'll be an Eververse set, which they showed in here, and I'm sure I'll put some screenshots of it in the thumbnails and what's not for the video. They look good. I always like the vibe they go for. The more recent vibes they've gone with the Guardian Games, where it's very like Tron looking, street inspired kind of outfits, which are really cool. I like them. The Titan has some cool headphones, because why not?
Yeah. Warlock looks very cool. Looks like I'm about to get on a light cycle.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Do it. Yeah. Always like that stuff. So yeah, it'll be a fun time, and it's I've definitely been I've talked about in the last episode of just kind of taking it slow and kind of stepping away from Destiny a little bit, just to have Still love the game. Nothing, no ill will, but it's always I personally am
take
somebody.
Breaks.
Yeah, it's totally cool to take breaks, go play other games, or just
I
go do something
encourage
else.
it.
I've been having a great time playing a bunch of other video games. If you're curious about those video games, you can see a whole deluge of viewpoint videos on our Irrational Passions YouTube channel. Go check that stuff out.
Nintendo Land as well, our other show where I talk about my Pokemon addiction.
And Pokemon addiction.
I have a great update for you.
Yes, looking forward to that. That'll be exciting to talk about. But yeah, I've still played a little bit here and there. Like the main thing I've just been doing is working on the Conqueror title. So this past week with two of my clanmates, so I usually run that stuff with, if I'm not running it with our group, I did the HyperNet Current GM and the new Lake of Shadows. We've knocked those two out. And it was definitely interesting because I would put them on the diametric sides of one I actually really enjoyed way more than I thought I would. The other one is probably now my least favorite Grandmaster in the game now. So that is, I will say, HyperNet Current. Very fun Grandmaster Nightfall. Actually, I was very pleasantly surprised by that. Definitely went into
section isn't terrible.
Yeah, because I'll get into it, but yeah, it has that perfect blend of a GM for me where there's like strategies to learn and like make you feel like you've like mastered it in a way that's like really fun and satisfying. And that's like the best part when you get into a GM, in my opinion, where it's like it's challenging and it has those moments of like, you know, you got to be on your game and ready to like do that. And I would say that's definitely like the part, the initial opening sequence where you fight the Tormentor is very fun. We had a fun strategy of just like it's one person's job to essentially like kite around and keep the attention of the Tormentor so that everybody else, the other two, can just work on clearing out the ads and stuff. And then once you do that, you know, you can then focus on the Tormentor. That was like a kind of a fun strategy to kind of execute on, I found, but it was still kind of like still a little stressful, but it's still like a fun way to do it that we did. I should mention we had 2 Well Warlocks and a I think it was Strand Titan was our other. So that's the 3 we did. That was cool. And then then you go into the next sections, which are kind of you're kind of dodging those like big puff clouds. And when you're not on your Sparrow, you're totally fine. And that kind of section before that is kind of fine. You just kind of take it slow. The craniums, the little Vex lasers, like are actually extremely strong in a way that like it's like you want to actually be trying to find ways to use those as much as you can because they can do some pretty good damage across the board.
Build super very quickly.
Build super very quickly as well. Yep. Yeah, that was super useful in the boss room, which is all good too. But you know, there's tons of little strategies you can find in there, particularly with that Sparrow section. First off, if you didn't know, if you take a cranium and shoot the very first, and you jump up and not get on your Sparrow right away and have a cranium and shoot the first thing you can see, the little blight thing, it for some reason just destroys like half of them in the whole Sparrow part. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if it's like a bug, but that's what it does. And I personally think like that should just be how it is, because that's like a cool little like extra, like if you have that knowledge, that makes that part like easier. And I think that's like a cool way to design it, if that was like intentional or not. The other thing you can do is there's actually a section of it where like you'll see if like you get off your Sparrow in that section, you lose like your extra jump. So you can just kind of it's like intentional, but there's a specific part of it where if you drive up to it, you can jump off your Sparrow, and there's these kind of sections. Like basically, like, you know, the Sparrow section's like a big loop-de-loop essentially to go back around. So there's a part of it where like they overlap. And if you go to that part and get off your Sparrow, you can actually jump up to the next section and then get back on your Sparrow, and it cuts that whole section like in half entirely, because you're basically skipping an entire part of it.
I have been doing that. I just didn't know if that was like as easy to do on GM.
Yeah, still pretty easy to do on a GM, I would say. And like you said, like knocking half of those things out removes them entirely, because it is a thing where like if you were just doing it on your own and didn't do that, they would all still be there, and those things one shot you on a Sparrow. It's pretty brutal. for those things for sure. But once you do that little trick, it's pretty easy, and we just did that right away and just went on our way and got through it. Next section again is the same thing where you kind of take it slow. There's a lot of overload snipers and like doing the stasis-y stuff. So you just kind of take it slow and use those craniums to full effect because they are really strong in that whole section. Then you destroy then you get to the next part, and that part's generally fine. Like I was kind of surprised because it is unstoppables and overloads, but there wasn't an unstoppable ogre in that part. I guess it's because it's all taken stuff.
Taken, yeah.
So like they don't have unstoppables. That's what threw me off. But that part was also generally pretty fine because if you're off your Sparrow, those things actually don't do that much damage. They definitely can get you still, but like they actually do not do as much damage as I thought they would, even on Grandmaster, which is good to know. And then boss room is another section that's like it's a lot of tension, but it's also I actually found it very fun. Again, we just kind of did a thing of we found the safe spots, and then when ads would come in, it's like, all right, well, one of the well warlocks, drop your well. We'll get in the well, focus on clearing out ads, and once they are gone, then we can focus on either damaging the boss or getting to getting the vexes and taking out the vex to get the craniums and using those to either clear out more ads or do damage to the boss. And it's just kind of doing that back and forth, and you definitely have to move around the arena a little bit because the boss moves around during his different phases and stuff. So it's really just finding those spots and staying alive and focusing ad waves when they come. Overall, like it was challenging, but it wasn't like it did not feel like a pain in the ass, I guess is how I'd put it. And so overall, I really liked it. I would say it's definitely probably not my favorite GM now, but like it's definitely higher in the list than I thought it would be in terms of doing a GM. So pleasantly surprised by that one. That was fun.
Lake of Shadows, on the other hand.
Lake of Shadows, on the other hand, fucking sucks. And not like, and like, and what I mean ultimately what I mean by that is, I don't think it's like the fact is like, it's not like super hard. It's just extremely tedious and like not fun to do. Like it's like the changes they've made to that. Like I don't mind I think in general I don't really like that there's like it feels kind of pointless to have these both sections of that very start of it where you have like the payloads, and you got to take it to the first door, then you take it to then you go into the next section and you do it all over again in that section. Like I still don't think that first section needs to exist at all. I don't understand why they have that. Like I'd be fine if it was just like fight some enemies in that section and don't carry a payload. Like this feels like an extra step that just doesn't need to be there for me. And maybe it's because I am biased to having that. I'm still so used to that old strike. And not having to do anything there, but that just feels weird and foreign to have that whole section there. But once you get past that payload part, like it's generally fine. It's not really that hard. It feels very much like the Saber strike, where it's like, all right, we're gonna push this forward a little bit. Oh, enemies are spawning. Let's back up, take out enemies, push it some more, and then you get to the door, and it's just kind of doing that more or less for both sections. And then of course you get to the actual like hard part of the GM, or quote unquote hard part, and that is the meatball fight. Meatball just is like absolutely like not fun. And it's not hard, it's just extremely tedious, because the whole thing with it is it's like it's in that open area. There's no cover in that open area, so you are pretty much forced into this back corner with very limited space because they put taken goo all over that back part. There's like select corners you can just hang out in, and you just have to plink at it, because you either are getting, it has like basically this like void barrage attack, which will like just instantly shred you if you get hit by it. Like you barely survive it even in just like standing in a well. And the thing just has like an insane like raid boss levels of health for some reason, and it's just like it takes forever to kill, and you're just sitting there slow, and granted maybe there is some other weapon DPS option to
use that makes more sense. But like it was, we were using machine guns, which machine guns are doing very well overall. I was matching my machine guns to Surge. We had, all that stuff going on, and just it took forever to kill that thing. And then it's like, you're weaving in and out of these void things, so it feels more like you're not really like. It feels like, when you get killed by that those void things, you're just shredding, and it just feels like, it's such a shitty place to have this encounter, because it just feels like you're losing lives in a way that's like you're kind of out of it because you have to fight this thing so long, and it's just could be inevitable that it kind of just hits you in this section. And every so often there'll also be like small ad waves that come once you hit it to a certain point, so you have to then worry about those ads come slowly creeping up on you, or that thing blasting away at you, and you have this very limited area to fight it in, and slowly plink away at it in this time, and it just takes forever, and it's just not fun. It just felt miserable to do that section, and then you still have to do the rest of the entire strike after that. And once you get past that, the rest of the strike feels generally okay. Like, it's a lot of the changes they've made. It's still, you still play it like most GMs, where you just kind of take your time and you kind of, take your section by section. You get back on the bridge section now is like the bridge section, like I was afraid of, just because there's threshers everywhere, but because it is such an open area, if you have long range options that you're using, you can kind of plink away at those as well and kind of take them out as you go. And like the one thing I will say positive note is, because it's switched all over to Cabal, there's no snipers anymore on that whole entire field. So you think of like the main problem, the original one was like the fear of snipers in that section. There's just none now. So now like you can literally just have free, as long as I was using a freaking wish ender, so I had free range on that whole bridge, and I'm just like plinking away at these dudes miles away, just like burning them down, while my other two people are just like running through and clearing out and stuff. And it's and they don't have, also the other part was like, when you get to that, you get towards the end and you have to like jump across, and there's two champions like hanging out in that kind of hidden corner. There's no champions at that part. Good. Now they're just like in the back with the boss, and they just like hang out there now. So you don't really have that like weird corner either.
What about like when you go inside from there? Is there still like a Taken Knight that shoots fire that ruins your entire run?
There are some Taken, or no, there's not any Taken now.
Okay. So I'm curious what enemies. I don't remember.
It's just all Cabal now. It's like Shadow Legion Cabal from the Lightfall stuff.
Is it just like Centurions, like shieldy boys and stuff?
Yeah, it's a lot of Centurions, mainly, and like anti-barrier stuff and unstops here and there. Another fearful part is that like Arms Dealer in the Nightfall version, they do add a Tormentor in that part, and it's fearful of that part, but it's honestly pretty easy too, because it's like a lower level one, so you can literally just suspend it and stun lock it in that room you're in with it. So we just like insta murdered that thing in the room when we got in there with it, because it's like such a small room that it's just there with you. You're just like, hey, get fucked. Then there's the boss room. The boss room is definitely a little bit more hectic, because you actually do have to, you can damage him down pretty fast. Like, he doesn't have any like full on gating there, but he definitely has way more health than that initial boss, and you have to worry more about like the environmental stuff going on in that room. Because if you've probably done the strike, but
I've done the strike, but not the GM.
Yeah, but basically there's these pyramids that like spawn around the room. And destroying those is what makes like some of the Taken stuff stay away for a while. So you do definitely still want to do that, and you do have to like kind of move around the room a lot. So it took us a couple tries to do that one, but really it just comes down to like, honestly, if they just would take that meatball boss out of that section, that would be like a 10 times better GM or strike experience in general. Like, I think they just need to like streamline a little some of those early parts of that section for sure. That'd be nice. For sure. But yeah, that's definitely gone up my list as probably like, I would put it in like corrupted, and like, well, Glassway is pretty easy now, but I would say that was pretty up there a while ago when it first dropped.
I would put it like up in that echelon of GMs to do now. It's just miserable.
All right. Well, while you were doing that, I was doing some Master Raid challenges.
Nice.
Some updates. So the third encounter Master Raid challenge, which I talked about on the last episode and had not finished, we went back. We did it. We did it, y'all. I switched roles before I was like on one of the Diamond Moon movers or Planet movers. And then I switched to Ad Clear in the center. And yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, there's been a lot of jokes lately about I'm on Ad Clear, the joke when it comes to Root of Nightmares.
Yep.
Ad Clear in that third encounter, the planets encounter specifically, is a full-time job. I will tell you.
You gotta be on it.
It is extremely intense. You're getting thrown up in the air by scions basically constantly. And yeah, it was very intense. It was very satisfying, I'll say. And getting through, and I think what helped us with the timing issue was just like absolutely hammer down those red shielded centurions that are what you have to kill to spawn in the big guys on the 4 platforms. If you get those guys killed quickly enough, then everybody can kill their barrier champion before the timer starts. And I think as long as you're in that situation, you will have enough time for both planet moves and then can get to damage a little bit more consistently. Damage still hard. We were doing something where like we would put like just a well in the middle between all the plates and then like go through the plate and then stand in the middle to chunk them down. But yeah, like just, there's a lot about that encounter that's hectic and fun that makes that fight interesting. But it's like, okay, we need to call out the order of plates before we start damage. Like we have to know where we're going first because damage starts when you shoot the boss in that encounter. And so we do a countdown. So we'd have the optimal amount of time, which means we need to know where we need to be, and we need to know that ahead of time. So it'd be like, all right, we're doing right first, go to the well, 3, 2, 1, shoot, and then we do as much damage as we can, et cetera, et cetera. I think we did manage to phase it, which felt pretty good.
Nice.
In the end. And then Nezarec, the final god of pain himself. I'll tell you, this straight up like War Priest on Master Mode levels, like one of the hardest raid encounters on Master I've ever done. You're doing it with challenge and everything, and there's other stuff going on. For those who don't know, the challenge for that is everyone needs to do a light and dark deposit every round. Every round before damage phase. So it seems like the kind of smoothest way that most folks have figured out is you split into 2 groups of 3, right? 1, 2, and 3 on light, 1, 2, and 3 on dark, and then you swap sides. So then you do 4, 5, and 6 on light and 4, 5, and 6 on dark. So you kind of swap sides at the halfway point, which requires a lot of good communication, a lot of good coordination. Luckily, honestly, we got that down pretty quickly in our 7 hours of attempting this over 2 nights. And that, like, it feels really good to get the communication down. And much like some of the King's Fall challenges, I thought that challenge made that fight more fun and intense and rewarding just overall. Just like if Nezarec gets his eyes on you, it's really difficult to get out of that. Like you can survive 1 blast with like double void resist, but if he gets you again in hatred, you're absolutely done. Yeah, the hardest part was like getting consistent damage during damage phase because he just feels more aggressive, moves a lot more on Master Mode. And he's got more health. I think like final tabulation was like 12 million health or something. Looking at the numbers at the end, we did rockets as our damage phase. Initially, we were trying to kind of do damage from the back end of the left side, and then when we came back on night 2 to finish it up, still took a couple hours then, but we got through it a lot faster. We did damage from the R2 plate, if folks recognize that kind of call out, and that was more consistent, I would say. and we managed to 3-phase him there, and it was brutal. Again, one of the toughest fights. It's ad control, it's heavy ammo, because Nezarek's like dive attack will fling all ammo off the map. So you have to be, like things like the Void artifact perk that gives you heavy ammo, that heavy scouts, that stuff, and you have to be like getting ammo as you're going, because it's going to get launched off the map if you wait around.
Shoot to loot, baby, it's time.
Shoot to loot might, it's going to be a clutch play soon, so I've not really messed with it, so I'm curious about how it's going to work with orbs and stuff. But I think like Volatile Flow keeping a hold on the barrier champions as well. Like it was like the first encounter we needed an ad clear super at one point to kind of clean things up before damage phase. But that was cool. It was like incorporating ad clear. Like we had well on left side, well on right side for emergency situations, drop well for refuge. We had like 5 wells, I think, at the end. Drop well for damage, drop extra well for damage for when time goes over. It was extremely intense, but we did it. Felt very good to beat it. Never doing it again. Absolutely never. To me, like the hardest final boss challenge outside of this that I've done on Master was Atheon. That also is extremely brutal.
It was intense.
And very unforgiving. So this, I would say, is comparable to that. Probably a little bit harder, but we did it. Which meant after doing the third encounter and unlocking Rufus's Fury Adept, I was able to spend the rest of my spoils on more. Got some hot rolls.
Heck yeah.
That I'm pretty stoked about. I got like a Pugilist Frenzy roll that has been my kind of go-to Strands build roll, just because it helps having Pugilist for those 3 melee charges. And Frenzy as a damage buff on top of that. Very nice. And then I got a tap the trigger moving target PvP roll that I am very happy with. And it gave me an opportunity to kind of test out the adept enhancing situation, which is really cool, right? Like for folks who have not messed with it, any adept raid weapon, you'll have like an extra mod slot that you can spend. It's like 12 spoils and then some other materials. So it does require spoils. It requires more raid currency.
Right.
I think just for the initial one to enhance it. And then it, gets its own unique enhanced symbol. It's kind of like a diamond. It's the reshape symbol from the artifact. And then it'll put like a red pattern over your 2 primary perks. Then at level 11, you can enhance it again. Which requires more currency, and that will allow you to go to the bench and slot in the enhanced first slot perk, and then at level 20, you can enhance it for the third and final time. But outside of that, and that allows for the second slot perk to be enhanced. Outside of that, you get access to full, breakdown of the first 2 slots. So barrel and mag, like even if they're not great, if you got the perks you want, just level it up to 7, and you'll be able to slot in any barrel and mag perk on that adept roll.
Nice.
Which is, it's honestly, it kind of feels like maybe a better way to just do the weapon crafting system. Just across the board, because it's like you just got to get the roll with the 2 main perks you need, then you enhance it, and you can put in the barrel and mag stuff that you want and eventually enhance those 2 rolls. So it kind of is a marriage of weapon crafting and random drops that I actually really like. And at the very least, this certainly feels like a tested waters situation, but it would be very cool to see this applied to all adept loot. Like GM, like I'm going to run this until I get the roll. Boom, I got it. Now I can take it and enhance it. And that would cost that like GM currency. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, ciphers.
GM ciphers to maybe do that. And then trials, weapons and adept weapons take that. Maybe it takes a flawless card and you can enhance that to, enhanced trials adept weapon. I definitely could see that happening in the future. It's a really slick system, works really well. There's like a bug with it where like don't enhance it while you're looking at it at the crafting bench. But outside of that, I think they already fixed that with the hotfix. But yeah, it works really well. I have like essentially a crafted Adept Rufus's Fury, and I've got a couple of rolls that at some point I will enhance with spoils and stuff. And I'm stoked about it. You know, I'm still gonna try and craft my regular roll because I still like doing that, but it is a cool alternative path for weapon crafting. I'm glad I took the time to do those challenges to be able to fool around with it. Just from a user interface level, it's really cool, and from how it works conceptually, I'm really excited for it to maybe apply to more weapons like world drops or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious how they can adjust that all. Like, I guess so you're unable to, especially on the adept ones, because I guess it's not on base stuff yet. But so you have to get the rolls you want, like still on the 2 perks, right? Is that
just the 2 perks, right? The masterwork, the barrel of the mag you can change. But as a trade-off with this, these weapons do not have 2 perks in each column.
Right.
So it's just 1 perk per column. And we're talking 3 and 4, so like the actual, column perks. But again, I it's a fair trade-off, I think.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind that ultimately. I think the one thing I will say though, I'd be open to them like using this system in more places. I mean, I think they already said they are. Like, I think they said they were doing this first for this, and they're going to try it in other places. I think for adept stuff, this is cool. But if they were to apply something like this for just like general weapons out in the world, I think I would still like them to give the ability to like change those,
craft them.
To either craft them or be able to just change those perks in those 2 columns still, because like I think a lot of the things crafting introduced like the idea of like I can just have the one of this auto rifle, and then if I want to go change the perks on it, I can go change the perks on it, or I can make it the role I want it to be, and then I just have it instead of just chasing it, or have the snare where I have to have like 3 or 4 of these different versions of them in my vault in case I want different roles for different reasons and stuff. So I think they can still marry all that stuff in a cool way. And that does sound interesting. Like the idea of like taking the next step of like, okay, I like the idea of like, I crafted a weapon and now I'm leveling it up to like unlock things for it. Right.
Yeah.
Or like enhancing seems like it could be like fall into that in a cool way as well. That I like, where it's like, you're kind of leveling it, and then leveling it allows you to enhance it in a different way, which would be cool.
Yeah, I just really like that you get the gun with the roll that you want to use already. Then you drop a level on it, and it's going to start leveling it, and then you can slot in the barrel and mag that makes it perfect, and the masterwork that makes it perfect, and all that.
Right.
And it gets the like bonus masterwork that crafted weapons get, which I think is just like an additional like +2 to whatever stat that masterwork is.
Right.
I'm not positive like what level that needs to hit. It's probably 20 still. But yeah, I just really like the idea of like, okay, now my pugilist frenzy roll is level 1 out the gate, and I can use this roll that I like.
Right.
And then I can put in full bore for max range or whatever if I want down the line, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a good. It's a very well executed idea, and I'm excited to see it apply to more things.
Yeah, definitely can see the potential of it, especially when it comes to like adept stuff and making those like matter more.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
by
definitely
enhancing and also leveling them up, and doing other things, applying other things to them. It's cool.
It fixes my adept problem of like, what's the point? I have an adept one of almost every Kingsfall raid weapon because you get them for doing it, and I just kind of got them along the way. I don't really ever use them because I don't really have a need for them when I have got like my crafted Shelchus that's like amazing. And why would I ever need anything else? But this helps it fill into a really nice slot, especially for like PvP weapons. I know that's not necessarily what everyone needs them for or whatnot, but like I got that PvP roll that I wouldn't, use my one crafted Rufus's Fury for. But now I can enhance this PvP roll. I'm only going to use it in PvP. It's going to get levels there too. And then eventually I'll be able to put in the barrel and mag that I really like and enhance those perks. And then boom, I got this adept PvP raid weapon that is like great for when I want to slay out with Rufus's Fury, which I took down the PvP, and I think I already have like 136 kills on it.
Nice.
It's very good auto rifle. I know it's still new to me because it took me a long time to get it. But let me report.
It's really good.
One of the best. One of the best for sure.
I think I mentioned it when I had I have a reconstruction frenzy roll. For PvE, and I can get like 130 rounds or more into that thing just from having that on there. It's completely insane.
Hell yeah.
It's really good auto rifle. And it definitely seems like this is the system where they're going to implement more in other places. So I'm definitely curious to see how they evolve it, and it definitely feels like either a way to have this extra system for specific weapons just from general world drops and match them to the quality of a crafted weapon. But I hope they can intertwine this system in crafting in a good way. Ultimately, I think it's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be for everything, but like this is a great thing for example, the public event that you can do on Neo Muna, right? Where these weapons are like the 3 not craftable weapons.
Yeah.
If you want to keep them not craftable, but give them that chase, I think this is a good thing that you could do for them, for example.
Yeah, for sure.
But you should just make them craftable.
Yes. Let's just pick perks on stuff. It's fine. Like it's weird. I'm also one other thing that I've been up to. I am now Guardian rank 9. Heck yeah!
I've come up from the pleb 7 era. I did some grinding.
Got up to 9.
I just need I don't necessarily want to guild conqueror, but the 3 things I need left, I could do them all in one GM run. I just need the Darkness subclass GM clear. Which is a bummer because I have done it on Stasis before in the past. I wish that didn't count.
So some of the stuff would be nice as retroactive for sure.
Yeah, and then a GM clear and a 180,000 GM score, which I'm sure I will get. So if I can do all that in one run, I'll be ranked 10, and I'll be happy to kind of put it all aside. Although now I have a master raid clear and all that too. So
yeah. So that's because that's
probably halfway to 11.
Yeah, because that's mainly what I need to do. All I need to do is get Guild Conqueror, Master Raid clear, and then solo the dungeon. Those are like the 3 things I need to do. So I'm pretty much I'm going to be Guilding Conqueror, so I feel like I'm probably just going to try and do the other things as well. Though I think the difficulty really is just being like, can I get 5 other people to do a Master Raid, Master Nezarec? You could probably get away with just doing that.
I'd do it.
We'll see if we can get people in for it.
It's definitely without the challenge, I don't think it would be that terrible.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
The tough thing with that challenge is because everyone has to kind of be on this mobile route and be doing stuff and calling out is you can't really have dedicated ad clears. You just kind of have to pick up the slack. So if you could have dedicated ad clears that are just dropping a well or a bubble or whatever.
Yeah, just play it out like you normally do. Yeah, I figured it would probably be more challenging, obviously, than the base raid, but
tough,
but still probably,
but much more manageable,
doable for sure. But yeah, I feel like I could probably, solo the dungeon because it's not solo flawless. It's just solo it, so that would just be just get through it. Even if I get taken out a couple times, I think I could probably do that just fine. I've done solo flawless for other dungeons, so I might as well just finally do it.
The final boss just takes forever. Inspire, honestly, it's just wearing down your soul. Even I thought that the mid boss would be tough, and it's annoying. But with Mida, especially that was where I switched my Mida from Grave Robber from Threat Detector. I just switched from Threat Detector in the first column to Unrelenting. Super clutch in that encounter in particular.
Yeah.
Just because the Unrelenting plus the fragment that makes it so every solar kill extends your restoration effect on Solar Warlock. Those 2 in tandem will will get you through some tight spots.
Yeah,
I'll say.
Yeah, for sure. And I figured I'd probably just mess around with probably Laura Lee Titan is still probably the good survivability play as well. So I might mess around with that or try Warlock as well.
I know I'm always preaching it, but like don't doubt the glaive in that final fight, because when those supplicants sneak up on you, you can totally tank it with the glaive and the boss and get yourself out of danger. You just got to take your time and you'll get through it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. I'll figure out when I do that. Like I'd definitely be within these next few weeks here before, like we mentioned, a certain May 12th video game comes out. So definitely going to try and get that done here soon. I feel like I'm just going to have, I don't know if it'll be this week that this episode drops. It'll probably be that week before. I'm probably just going to have a pretty hardcore Destiny binge session to try and get all this stuff done.
My plan that first week of Guardian games, and like it's the second week too. It's like that Friday is when Tears of the Kingdom comes out. It's like, all right, I gotta get all this done.
I gotta get this done. Yep, I gotta get
because I ain't coming back.
Yep. I ain't coming back till maybe May 22nd, when I think that's the next. I'm pretty sure that's when the next season drops. Is the 22nd?
Yeah, it's May 22nd or the 23rd.
Yeah. I definitely
23rd. Yeah.
Definitely plan on making sure to get that all done before then. Get the titles done. I mean, I'm not too worried about it. I don't think I have Queen's Guard this season's title. Like, since that's not going away, maybe I may get that later than usual. But even then, I'm like, get all Guardian game stuff done, whatever Guardian rank 11 stuff done, and then I'm truly set. Oh, probably the seasonal challenges too for the Bright Dust, but that stuff will be. I'm getting it done. As much of it as I can done by that point. It's my hope.
I also, the only other thing I did, I slayed the hell out in Iron Banner Fortress. Other Bubble Titans tier Destiny players.
That's right. You showed those like 4 Bubble Titans on the other team who's boss who were just like camping the thing.
It was my first time like breaking out the Adept Rufus with the role that I wanted, and I was like, "Oh baby,
it's time to show these
laser beam."
Yeah, very good, excellent. But other than that, there was a TWAB this week. We should talk about that a little bit. I didn't include the other TWAB from the previous week with this because I think this is more of just like this follows up that TWAB with a lot more stuff that ultimately calls it out, because they announced a community art contest for a weapon ornament. Which the first one was for Arbalest, and that's kind of getting that cool like sci-fi like Neo Muna very looking vibe. Arbalest was like the first one that was like a community voted one. They started another one, the one TWAB, and then this week they already collected all the votes. And it was between Witherhoard, Thunderlord, and I forget the other one. Izanagi's Burden. Yeah, Witherhoard ended up winning, which I was kind of sad by. Just because Witherhoard already has a bunch of really cool ornaments, so I was hoping.
Yeah, and so does Izanagi's Burden.
Yes, exactly.
I was with you. I've also voted for Thunderlord in the hopes that it could. It's got a couple okay ones, but
and it has like the one cool one has like the lightning coils in it. But like other than that, it's just like I would like another one for that because it's cool, especially because it's now also like one of like the better DPS options in the game, surprisingly. Surprisingly. But yeah, he's not Witherhoard ended up winning. I get it, it's very popular and a lot of people like it, so it makes sense why it won, but I would have wished for the dub for that. The other stuff they talked about in this, they did like give us some clarifications on some of the mod changes that they introduced in the mid-season patch, but then were also not included in the mid-season patch notes, which they then went to Twitter to then say what those were. this kind of clarifies some of those. So I'll just read this from the TWAB itself. Sandbox team here to make a patch notes clarification and provide a quick preview of an ability balance article we'll be posting next week. Oh, I also missed that part. I didn't realize there was.
I missed that part too.
Yeah, I'm actually glad I copy and pasted that. So look forward to that ability balance article next week. Cool. We'll definitely be back to talk about that.
Yep.
We want to provide more clarity on the changes to the Ashes to Assets and hands-on armor mods in the patch notes 3 released. That was the mid-season patch. Our patch notes made it sound like when both the Ashes to Assets and hands-on are equipped, only one of the mods will work. In reality, these mods can still be used at the same time, and the change here is that defeating an enemy specifically with the grapple melee will no longer double dip and to count as both a grenade and melee kill. Thumbs down, in my opinion. This change has made to make the grapple melee consistent with how other abilities in the game interact with these mods. However, they did say this next part, which was again probably also going to be covered in this ability thing, is they are reducing the cooldown to the grapple pretty dramatically. Like it's going from 105 seconds to 82 seconds. That's like a pretty substantial increase to the cooldown. So that's nice. That's definitely something I think it needed for sure.
At tier 10, I mean, that's going to be pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. Especially like with Hunter and Titans that's all about where I use my grapples. They can both have 2 grapples, so that you'll definitely have a lot more grappling, which that's what I'm here for. But overall, though, I did not. That was the change that kind of irked me the most. Was not necessarily that, but there's the other ones where like if you use the grapple melee to get a kill, you could make 2 orbs from the melee kill from the grapple, and because you're using a grapple and it's a grenade, so you could use it to make use the mods to make orbs from that. It does no longer makes multiple orbs from that anymore, which I think is a kind of lame and a bummer. Just because
it definitely felt like a reward for using the riskier maneuver.
That's what it was, where like I liked the idea of using that because it's like, you're not doing that a lot in a Grandmaster Nightfall or like a high tier activity, because a lot of times even though the grapple melee is pretty good, it's not really killing stuff in that regard. So like, and you're also putting yourself in a very severe like position to get messed up. Like the grapple is just not a viable thing, like as I'd hope in some of those activities. So that felt like it made it more worthwhile to use it in those kind of things. And it was just a fun play style. I liked it made it feel like the more frenetic and in your face thing that Strand kind of is on those classes in particular, with like Titan and stuff. So
especially with like double or all even triple grenade pickup on it. You grapple in, you drop 2 orbs, you get a ton of energy back, presumably woven mail as well. It feels like you're coming in thundering. This kind of, you can still do that. I will say, like, I played around a little bit with it on Warlock and kind of the build I had like that. You still are getting your grapple back very quickly because of all of the things obviously that you can do. But it has like a little less oomph to it
for sure.
That's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, and I think ultimately with this cooldown reduction, that'll definitely make it so it'll kind of still be maybe a little bit more in line with how that was, because you'll be able
to do it quickly enough,
way faster. And they also said they reduced the time between grapple activations, so you can now do it pretty instantly. Rapid grapple, which is cool. I always did not like that you could not do them in like quicker succession. So I like that they're basically like deleting it more or less from the change here. The other thing they pointed out, which I think is cool, is the Hunter melee. Definitely, I would say like I think it was still not bad as it is right now, but it was definitely the weakest of the 3 melees. But they are giving it a pretty significant buff here. They are increasing the damage versus PvE combatants by 55%. Increase the projectile travel range before beginning to return to the player by 30%. So that means it is going to be traveling a lot farther, and I'm guessing that means it can
hit more enemies, right?
Yeah, it can hit more enemies basically, and then it's also reducing the speed when it returns to the players to make it catch easier. I honestly think it's like not that, like once you get used to
not
it,
hard to catch.
It's not that hard to catch. So like making it even easier, like cool, I'm cool with that. And it also will give even more energy back.
That's the best part, I think, honestly.
Yeah, that's really cool because even now, like you can hit probably like 5 enemies, I would say, and you pretty much have it back. So I'm assuming now you will just have it back. So that's cool. It also pierces Cabal shields, Phalanx shields. Cool. Awesome.
Good.
Yep. Yeah. I
that was like the worst part about it is like if you shot it and there was a Phalanx there, it's like, well, fuck this, I guess.
Yeah. Just get fucked. Yeah. Yeah. I like that melee a lot. Like it's a fun tool to use and like the severing of it, but now that'll straight up just do way more damage. And travel more and do stuff like that makes it feel more viable in like a more end game activities specifically rather than now where like you could use it in like a lot of standard stuff like in just like a normal strike or whatever, and it would do pretty well.
What we should talk about, speaking of damage buffs, we should talk about the primary weapon buffs and how we feel.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about
that was in the mid-season patch. They buffed auto rifles, pulse rifles.
We're looking forward to this a lot.
Sidearms were the big ones. They all feel really good now. I like pulse rifles. I liked them before this, but now they feel legitimately very good in a way that I'm happy with. Finally, it's good. It's good to like they just across the board just feel like they punch a lot more in a way that I like. I was using even earlier today when I played a little bit. I was using the BXR and PvE felt really good, especially with the incandescent roll I had. So it felt like I was like able to comfortably shred through a lot of enemies way better than I could before. Stuff like that.
Outbreak feels incredible.
Yeah, Outbreak is pretty devastating. I haven't leveled it up, but I want to bust out No Time to Explain and see how that feels in PvE. Like that'll probably be really fun. I want to try that out. And just like a lot of the general pulses I was using just for general content feel really good now. Great change. Auto rifles also feel very good. Like that like we talked about Rufus's. Rufus feels really good.
And other auto rifles like Perpetualis, the 600 from the season, feels much better.
Yeah.
Feels like much more in place with where I would want it to be. Can actually kill an ad without going through an entire clip. Which is nice. I will say, like, on Legend stuff, and anything like in that difficulty range, even like patrol zones, I feel like I just really don't feel it as much there.
Sure.
And I don't necessarily think that means like, no, it's not enough of a buff. I've seen a lot of people throwing out like crit multipliers and how that could potentially make a difference for those kinds of activities. And, I don't know the numbers well enough to agree, but that sounds like potentially a place to make that feel a little bit better.
Right.
But yeah, I was hoping for a bigger bump in those kinds of activities. And I guess it's a lot harder to tell, I think.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's fair. I did not use a pulse as much in the GMs I was trying earlier this week. Maybe I'll throw one on to see how it feels a little bit more. But I think just playing the general stuff like I did, I used them in some Defiant Battlegrounds and some other activities and stuff like that. They felt much better to me even in those, which is nice. Even I used the Final Warning sidearm, the Strand sidearm from Lightfall. Like that felt pretty good now. And it felt like even like a full charge could like even take out like an orange bar pretty well now. I think overall I think that was like definitely the highlight of the wonkiness of this mid-season patch that happened. For sure. I think it was good overall, but there'll be more stuff, I'm sure.
Just more adjustments to difficulty, I feel are ahead of us for a while to come.
Because definitely the biggest change, a lot of big changes with Lightfall. I think they just it's going to be a lot of adjusting now because of those changes now.
for sure.
I definitely, I don't know how you've been feeling about it. I've been articulating my thoughts after finishing my review that is still in the editing process. It'll be up for sure by the time. I'm getting like notes from Jarrett on my phone right now. It'll be up for sure by the time this is up. But yeah, just like this, it's hard to quantify, but it is kind of more exhausting to play parts of Destiny that were not exhausting before, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it needs to be easy, but like I brought it up last episode, I think, of like Legendarius Battlegrounds was like a slightly harder, fun time that gives you pretty good rewards at the end, is now just like not enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's just not fun. And I don't think everything needs to be the kind of frantic level of fun that like a regular Strike playlist thing is, or Gambit or whatever. Mileage may vary on the Gambit front. But it definitely just feels off right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's how you're feeling.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying for sure. Because that's definitely been a little bit of the reason why it was like nice to like step away, is just like I think a lot of the changes they've made have felt like, it felt like and some of it was because of the easiness, quote unquote, of the game that made it just such like an easy thing to just like turn on and just kind of go. Where like, I feel like a lot of the changes, in some cases, have made some content more engaging, for sure. But I think because they have this factor to them, it does make it feel like, I feel like I'm playing the game in lesser binges than I was, I guess, if that makes sense. Where like, if I feel like, like you said, like it feels like I don't want to play the game for longer sessions than I have, just because like things take longer to do across the game.
And it takes it out of you. It's like,
it's just like
that was intense.
Yeah, it's just like it's like, all right, like because like it took me longer to do 4 or 5 strikes now. Like I feel like I've gotten my fill of playing this session, where before I'd able to be like, I feel like I could cruise through strikes way more, and then when that would lead me to go do other stuff more quickly, or just and also the I think this is less so the difficulty thing, but just the because of the power jump, I have like way less access to various weapons, and the slog of like burning through all of my currencies to get upgrade modules to then put that into weapons to level them up to the current level. So I have less weapons to choose from. So when I want to try and like run bounties or do these things, it's like, all right, I have to figure out which glaive I have at 1810, or figure out which sidearm, like, or shotgun or whatever. And it's like, I have a very limited capacity of those. And it's like, all right, well, now I have to wait and see if I get an 1810 drop or a higher level drop of this to level this up to just do like a freaking bounty now. And it's just like, it's drained the experience of the game a lot sometimes when these bigger drops happen, where like, you have the difference where like it's way less of a jump from changes to the game from season to season. So that makes it like sometimes easier to just like, carry over stuff in a season, where I feel like some of that stuff might feel different, when we have, once we're months into Season of the Deep and we're now about to jump into another season, and I've had all this time to like, pull all this stuff up to my current level, and I didn't have to worry about another level jump, and then, it's a weird time for sure for the game overall. I would say still
growing pains
for me,
sure.
Definitely a growing pains vibe for sure. And it's we still have a lot of time between now and the final shape, but I'm definitely hoping they can kind of pull it back together. At least I want to feel hopefully like we are not having these feelings the season before final shape, where I'm hoping the season before final shape we're like feeling better about those general things in the game, and now like excited about like new things. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll still be excited for new Destiny things. That's for sure. But I definitely hope I'm not feeling that same kind of like, oh, we're here we go again with this new thing. Like I'm hoping that we don't have to worry about some of this stuff by that time.
Yeah, to your point, like there's definitely I enjoy more now, like baseline Nightfalls, for example. Like I'm happier to run just a couple of Nightfalls instead of do the Strikes playlist
Right.
for a little while for experience there, which is cool. I did not feel that way before because of the champion changes and the subclass verbs. All that stuff is so good. It's so great. Cannot understate how great that is. It's just like then it's like, all right, I'm gonna run the Legends Battleground for the week to get my 3 one of each done, and now I have to do a couple more for a seasonal challenge, and it's like, whoa, boy, howdy, these are 35 minutes. People are dying left and right. It is very intense.
Yeah.
And like I'm doing Strand Surge because I need to be able to do damage, but like Strand is like harder to be defensive on Warlock or something, any number of things. So it's just stuff like that where there's like weird friction. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I was curious if you had been feeling that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that's some of the reasons I've like playing the game still every so often, but like I've definitely taken my time,
eased off the gas,
eased off the gas, and have like used this time to like just play other stuff while they take the time because it takes time for them to kind of circle back around and figure stuff out for sure.
Yeah, because like to a thing that I think you mentioned, like I have not done the Legend Avalon activity once. Still,
yep.
It's been like months since it came out, and it is because it is like I know this is going to be like an hour. I have to get 2 other people that don't want to do it to help me because I can't do it alone.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just hoping it's like I'm decided upon myself of just like I've accepted that like I'm probably not gonna one I have to do one run of it just to like I think you can do one run of it to like get one of the catalyst, and also like I think you have to do it to get the title.
The title, yeah.
That's just one run, but I know you have to do, if you want to get all the catalysts, you have to do 3 runs total of the thing, and that gets you like I've already accepted it's like, you know what, I'm totally cool with maybe just waiting until they do like, maybe they'll do it this season, or maybe they'll do it at the thing like before the final shape comes out, and they're like, let's just make this all easier so you can just get everything before it's gone kind of moment. And they just have the moment where it's like, just run this once on Legend and then you get all 3 at once, like it was for Revision 0 last season. So I don't know why they made this like this season. Like I don't know why I get they overlap and have different things, but
it's
game
just
development's hard and all that, but that was still a weird choice to see. This time
I'm with you. I just like that glaive Excalibur for me. It's like level 33. I use it all the time. I love it. I think it's a great weapon. I just want to be able to have like the Aegis guard as a perk on it so I can get ammo back with it. It's like, but I have to go through this ordeal,
Yes. Yeah. It definitely wears you down. And that sentiment can change for sure. Will probably change hopefully one day.
For sure.
Maybe when there's a new season with a bunch of new shiny stuff, that'll help a lot.
But new aspects for Strand that might like make us like way more powerful too. Like there's tons of stuff that is going to change. Like, I'm not all doom and gloom. I'm not Destiny 3 gang over here. Those people need to fucking chill.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
as per usual.
Yeah, I just want to cut to this point and just put like the 20-minute Dado video that he put out the other day, just being like, here's our stance on this. Just link to Dado's video here, because like, shut the fuck up about Destiny 3.
Could y'all fuck each other?
Lord.
And just like put our video, the thing, the tirade you went on like a couple months ago of like they would not be adding this system, and LFG if they were planning on getting rid of this game. I'm sorry.
That's just not how this works. That's like they're too invested in this game, and like Dado makes like the perfect point of like, it would make so much more sense to fix this thing and put all the time versus in fixing and making this thing better than trying to make an entirely new thing that's like a complete gamble and could ultimately just put them back in the same place they were in, where they're trying to fix everything and make this game to the same standards that this game is currently at. Like, it's like he makes those points, and like that point I made a while ago, just like, we're not getting a Destiny 3, like just kind of accept that. At least not anytime soon. It's not going to be a Final Shape comes out and they're, we get a couple seasons in and then they say, here's what's next for Destiny, and they show out a whole ass new video game. Like we're going to probably get Final Shape.
Could be a Destiny spin-off.
There's going to be a whole new totally could be a spin-off, or they're going to reveal some completely different Destiny video game like that, like a spin-off, or whatever their other new titles that they're working on that maybe are not Destiny related. Might get revealed post Final Shape stuff, but I think Destiny will just keep going. And if anything, I would expect maybe the opposite, and they post Final Shape, they maybe go like, yeah, we're gonna keep doing seasons, but maybe those seasons themselves may be bigger. We might not have like a big expansion, so we can take more time to like truly figure out what's next and have like a bigger update to the game rather than try and keep it yearly. But who knows? Again, who knows? That's just all speculation. I have no idea. And that's still years away.
I do want to ask you, and I'm not jumping to conclusions or anything. I'm just in my head, this is what I'm thinking of and what I feel is likely. How likely do you feel that the Final Shape will not be coming out next February and would come out later than that?
It's entirely possible.
To me, that feels very likely.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I would not be surprised if just like how Lightfall went down, and maybe that shifted a lot of the things that they maybe were not. Maybe we're going to continue that stride, but then Lightfall went down. Maybe they're going like, let's take a little bit more time to do this, or build this up or something, and make sure this is right. Like, that's definitely a good question for sure.
Because Witch Queen, I think, very obviously benefited from extra time.
Yeah.
And was very well regarded because of it, I'd say. So
yes.
To me, it feels likely, and it would be a good idea to like take some extra time, polish it up, make sure to use that time on server stuff or whatever, is going on the technical end of Destiny that I do not understand, but I know like clearly there are woes there.
Yeah. Some trouble happening. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like it's the thing it's saying like right now, I don't know. I don't think it will happen, but I would not be surprised if it happened, I guess is what I would say, currently. I think they're set, but it's hard to say for sure, but like you said, like it's totally possible. We don't know the scale of Final Shape, right? Like we don't know like how big they are going to go with it. Like, could they, there's always the idea of like, another Darkness subclass. So they're already ready to do another Darkness subclass. We don't know if Final Shape could have something like that. Like it would make sense, from like a story perspective, but it could not.
We know Kevin Yanis, who was like the abilities team lead, has moved on from Destiny 2 to another Bungie product post Lightfall as well. So I don't know if that heavily implies that there's not going to be another subclass, or that he's fully like trusted his team to potentially do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say.
I would like there to be another Darkness subclass, kind of
for sure.
Finish the trilogy there. I think that would be great, and kind of closes this thing out really nicely. And it brings up a lot of questions on how they're going to handle it in regards to the campaign, certainly.
Yeah.
Since a lot of people have a lot of opinions about how Strand was handled. But yeah, I hope so. I hope that there is. And I in my head, I'm like, just delay it till September. Put it out September 14th, 2024, right on the 10-year anniversary. Make it an event. Give it an extra, 6 months, 7 months in the can to make it perfect.
Sure. Yeah. I'd be open to that. I'd like, I'd be very curious how they could if they're able to move that quick to that, right? Like, who knows? Like, they work way ahead of time, right? Like we know, like, when Lightfall was coming out, they were already like Bungie devs being like, yeah, we're working on like the season after the next season, basically already, like kind of like
23,
or something like that. So like they're already working on that. So like, who knows if they had already started working on Final Shape stuff when Lightfall was coming out, and I have no idea how no idea about any of that stuff. So it's hard to say if they're able to now like pivot and be like, yep, let's just stop and keep making that time. But then we know that they have that 4-season cycle. And it's pretty much matching up right now with what we know for last year, what they did from Witch Queen to Lightfall. So we already have we're getting this next season in May, which would line up with how long the other seasons were. So that means that one would start in May. The next one will end in August, early September, which would then if they do that, that's when they revealed Lightfall. That would line up with when they would probably reveal Final Shape and whatever the next season is. And then you had August to end of year, and then that would be that next season, then early next year. So would they be able to stretch out another that last season from what is it? That would be December to the following September. That would be pretty wild. So I don't know if they would go all the way to September if they were going to push it out further. They could maybe get away from I think what did they do for the wait between Season Lost and Witch Queen? That was
6 months.
That was 6 months.
It was August to February.
Yeah. So maybe if they did December to what, that would be May, June.
June, yeah.
They could probably get away with that because that would be about the same weight, potentially.
Yeah, and we're already we're going into uncharted territory with Season of the Deep, right? It's going to be a different format.
It's going to be a different format. You're right. Yeah.
So that could give us a better estimation of how they're going to do later seasons as well, and and if that could potentially even work. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely going to be like you said, growing pains for Destiny, which is
huge, huge rework with Lightfall. It is a substantial expansion in a lot of systemic ways that I think go underappreciated in the grand scheme of things. A lot of those systems need adjustment and are essentially being kind of beta tested out there in the wild at the moment. Yeah. And that's kind of how live games just gotta do their thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, we're in uncharted territory in general, and we're in growing pains territory. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Just wanted to throw out some speculation, have a little fun,
little tinfoil hat theorizing. Always enjoy it sometimes. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely curious where we're going with all this stuff for sure. And yeah, not gonna be too long though. Like I said at the top of the show, it's gonna be pretty soon here. We're start hearing about Season of the Deep and more details. I didn't even realize they said in this TWAB. They're oh yeah, there's a ability tuning TWAB, or not TWAB, but probably there's an article. So probably separate from that TWAB.
Yeah, probably Wednesday then.
Yeah, one of those. They've definitely started doing more of those Wednesday articles. So I'm assuming we'll start getting more of that because it'll be May. And, we have only 3 weeks till once Guardian game starts. It's 3 weeks till the new season because it's May 22nd, I believe. Season of the Deep starts. So we're going to probably start coming in fast. I know they already talked about some things, to be fair. I know there is a bunch of exotic armor weapon changes they talked about in one of the blogs previously. It was I think they said that's 15 exotics or something like that are getting changed in some way, shape, or form. So I have to see what that is.
Yeah. Very curious about the armor stuff.
Yeah, I definitely hope that's a lot of armor stuff.
Vesper of Radiance meta?
Vesper of Radiance meta? It's happening. Believe. Eternal Warrior? The meta's here.
Oh my god. Stompies are back?
Oh no. Don't do that. The pain. Yeah, and then
we got to start naming the episodes of these podcasts dumb clickbait shit like that.
Okay, well no, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna put
gotta
that
get
in there.
The clicks in.
Stompies are back. Yeah, okay. I'll put that in. We'll put that in. Perfect. But yeah, we'll be back. I think that's gonna do it for this episode. I think short and sweet, shorter than usual, just because we're in that time. But yeah, it's gonna be start getting, I think, pretty exciting here again soon, at least in terms of new announcements for new seasonal stuff. Yeah, we know.
I love Guardian
things
games
here. Yeah,
I think it's super fun.
Yeah, I will definitely be back to talk about some Guardian game stuff.
Want to point it out because they kind of snuckily said it in the Guardian Games post. They said like, "Oh, maybe equipped your crafted weapons you want to level up when you deposit medals." So it feels like much like the previous Dawning was, where they updated it, where Snowball kills would give you like a ton of experience for weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I think depositing medals.
So okay, so I was going to say before you finish, they did clarify this on Twitter. Because they saw a bunch of people saying, so it is not that they are going to give you a bunch of experience when you deposit. It is that during Guardian games, there will be increased weapon XP acquisitions. That means while you're using weapons, they will get increased like XP throughout Guardian games. So it won't
I'll
be.
take it.
Yeah, it's better than nothing, but I definitely saw that like people being like, oh, you can just equip stuff and have a good time and do that. And I think it was Destiny, the team account, the team Twitter account said like, actually it's just increased like XP booster during Guardian games for that.
I will say though, to the credit, like when I got a lot of stuff done when Dawning rolled around last year. Yeah. So take advantage of it when you have it.
Yeah, throw on those snipers and maybe at least get like 2 levels after like 10 strikes finally. God, those things are miserable to level.
I know. It sucks. I can't. I don't even know how I got my Defiance of Yasmin up to like level 8. But I did it.
Yeah, that's yeah. But hopefully we'll hear about maybe an update to that stuff in the weeks ahead. With updates coming in next season, like we know there'll be a more weapon enhancing, like the whole system where you'll be able to make craft or just random drops in the world into red borders if they're craftable. Remember, like that's deep sight activation, I think is what they said it was called.
Yeah, start grabbing up those weapons that you don't have.
Yeah, that's next season. So I'm sure we'll hear about that probably in a few weeks here.
And like some kind of mod that you can slot in that'll give it experience as well.
That would be pretty nice for sure.
Is something coming next season apparently as well. That I bet is going to be like mid-season, but
yeah, that sounds cool.
Still, that might be the way to level up snipers. So
yeah, for sure. So that'll be good. I'm sure there's other things they maybe have talked about. I'm sure. That'd probably be a good idea for maybe an upcoming episode as we're looking at new stuff, as maybe rounding up some of the other things they've said. But they'll probably do that as well in blogs and stuff. So yeah, we'll be back for another episode next week, talking about what we've been doing in Guardian games and any other blogs and stuff they post in the week. But yeah, always fun to talk about Destiny 2. With you, Alex, and
hell yeah!
Thanks everybody for either watching here on YouTube, youtube.com/Helm Tower, or listen to us on podcast services. We always appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with us when we talk about Destiny. If you like us chatting about stuff, like we said, we have our main channel, youtube.com/Irrational Passions. There's gonna be tons of stuff there. Obviously not directly Destiny related, but tons of games are coming out. Non-Destiny related, so we'll have some videos of that stuff, like Jedi Fallen Order, or kind of thing I did again, Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
So there's a sneak peek of something I do in that video. Jedi Survivor is out and it's really good. We did a video of that. Me and Quinn Hoffman, also from Irrational Passions, went to the hellscape known as Disney Speedstorm, and boy, is that a microtransaction mess. I bet. We checked that out. Says there'll be a video of that if you want to see a trash fire. I guess we can watch that video. Some other cool indie stuff, like we checked out some cool indie games together as well. We'll have some more stuff too. Like I think we're gonna look at Redfall. Maybe I don't know if we do it all.
More, it's on Game Pass, so we might as well.
Yeah.
And on irrationalpassions.com proper will be my full,
that's right,
very long written review of Destiny 2 Lightfall, going through the ups, the downs, the community sentiment backlash. I try and cover it all in there. It's long, but it's got my feelings in there. So
yes, definitely check that out once it's on up there on YouTube or irrationalpassions.com. For sure. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Thanks everybody, as always, again, hanging out, listening, watching. Always appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.